everyone. So today we're going to talk about alternative visa options if you didn't have the H-1B lottery selected. We're going to talk about O1s, NIWs, green card, and also day one CPT. We're very excited to welcome immigration attorney Weina Sun. She is a New York State bar attorney, and this webinar is also partnered with Top Visa US, and they are specialized in enhancement in O1 and NIW applications. They offer legal services, research, and also background development. So definitely scan the QR code. We are happy to connect you with them or with immigration attorney Weina. Without further ado, I will jump into today's session of review. In today's session, we will talk about three things, which is O1s. We're going to discuss the qualifications, requirements, as well as the processing for O1. And then also we're going to talk about NIW green card application. Can I petition on my own? What are the expected timeline and also common RFE reasons? And also, finally, we're going to talk about day one CPT. A lot of you care about day one CPT. Is this going to be risky? And how to use day one CPT according to regulations. So the presentation section will consist 30 minutes of this total, which is half of the webinar session. In the second half, we're going to do a free live Q&A with immigration attorney Weina. So send in your questions. If you do come in with the questions, send in your question in the Q&A section. Our colleague, we're going to collect them. We'll answer them one by one. If you have any follow-up questions after today's sessions, feel free to scan the QR code right now, talk to our consultants, ask them your questions for free, and then hopefully we can get that answer for you. And before we go on, I want to talk a little bit about our company as the host. So we are Go Elite. We are a professional consulting agencies. We primarily work with universities that offer CPT. Our primary service is day one CPT university applications. We also do F1 reinstatement or emergency transfer, as well as some change of status application and also consultations. So our mission is to make international students' American dream come true. We are certified by ARC as one of the first agencies that got certified. ARC is the most respectful organization when it comes to education industry. And we're also on Google reviews, so feel free to check us out on Google. We currently have more than 450 reviews on Google, 5 stars, so you can also learn what other students have talked about us. Moving on, here's our contact information as well. So our social media account, we're on LinkedIn, YouTube, WhatsApp, and Facebook. So feel free to check us out as well. Without further ado, I will stop sharing my screen and let attorney Sun take the stage. All right.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Hello.
Hi.
Should I start to share the screen right now?
Yeah. If you could go ahead and share the screen right now. We have somebody from the audience saying hello. Hello. All right, let's get right to it. Right, we can see your screen perfectly.
Okay. I want to say thank you very much for the opportunity for me to introduce some information about the alternative visa options, which include NIW, Day 1 CPT, and O1 visa. In today's presentation, I will go through all the important points in the application and will talk about the Day 1 CPT. In today's outline, I will talk about 4 topics. The first topic is how to secure your legal status if the H-1B lottery is now selected. In the second part, I will talk about O1 visa's qualifications, requirement document, and the timeline. In the third topic, I will talk about NIW's qualifications, required document, timeline, and a common RFE. In the last part, I will talk about Day 1 CPT, and I will mention the risk and how to comply with the regulations. Okay, in the first part, let's do a brief introduction to the legal status and the visa options. It is very important to maintain your legal status in US. You may consider extend your current legal status or transfer to another legal status. I would suggest that we should consider Day 1 CPT, O1 visa, NIW, and other options. In this chapter, I will talk about the O1 visa qualifications and also the O1 visa categories. As you may know, there are actually two categories under O1 visa. First, the O1A visa. O1A visa refers to individuals with an extraordinary ability in a science, education, business, or athlete, but not included the art, motion pictures, or television industry. For O1B visa, it refers to individuals with extraordinary ability in the arts or extraordinary achievement in motion picture or television industry. Here, one of my clients asked me, hey, can you please provide a requirement, just like a brief requirement for the O1A visa and the O1B visa? I would say yes. Let's take a look at the brief requirement under O1A visa and O1B visa. The O1A visa requires that the applicant should obtain national or internationally acclaim and is one of the small percentage who has arisen to the very top of his or her field. On the other hand, there are two subcategories under O1B visa. In O1B visa, art it requires that applicants has sustained national or international acclaim and has achieved a distinction in the field of arts. In motion picture or television subcategory, it requires that the application demonstrated a record of extraordinary achievement in motion picture or television production, and it is coming to continue to work in such productions. Another popular question under O1A visa is what are the required documents for O1A visa category? As I talked earlier, it refers to like a business or scientific background. So let's take a look at all the requirement document under O1A visa. The first is international or national recognized prize or awards. I would recommend that put it at the top of all the application package if you have such well recognized prize or awards. And the second is the membership or in his or her industry association, which has a higher standard of applications, which means that those associations are highly selective. And all the members has to pass the application process, and not all the applications can become a member. I typically will include the member, I will typically include also the association introduction and their standards in the application package to argue that point. And the third required document is a major media reports or publications. It's very important to get a media report or publication about your own original contribution or yourself a story. I would say that the requirement document list can be different case by case because not everyone's background is the same, but I just recommend that it's very important to get a media report or publications. And the following required document is a participation in panel or conference. If you have attended to any international conference in your industry, I would highly recommend that include those part of the material in your application package. That would be a strong evidence that you are qualified for O1A visa. And the second one, and the following one is original and significant contribution. This point is associated with scholar published articles in professional journals, because if you have any original significant contribution, you may want to publish those articles or findings in professional journals. And those are also very important evidence in your O1A visa application. In addition, I would suggest that all of my clients try to find some employment in critical capacity for organization that has a distinguished reputation. I would suggest that my client try to get some employment letters or verification document from the company. The last part is a high salary and an agency contract. You can use your W-2 pay stub or tax return to prove that you have a high salary in your industry. And also you can also provide the agency contract or cooperation agreement to prove that you will come to US to continue work in the area of extraordinary ability and achievement. In next page, we will talk about like O1B visa arts subcategory. One of my clients asked me that, should I prepare all of the required document? I would say it depends, because not everyone's background is the same. So the checklist is just my own suggestion, but cannot be applied to everyone. The first point is a leading or critical participate in production or events that has a distinguished reputation. You can provide any email or document to prove that. And the second is a major media reports or publications. It's a very similar to O1A visa. We would recommend that you have a medical report or publications of yourself or your achievement in your industry. And the following point is a leading participate in organizations such as media report journals or testimonials. Someone will ask that, what is a testimonials? It's a short paragraph that someone write just a positive comments on you, but such comments should come from a good reputation person who is holding a very important role in societies or in social associations in your industry. It's that is a short version of the reference letter, but it is very important. I would recommend that you should include those in your application package if you do have one. The following point is a major commercial or critical acclaim success, such as a box office received motion pictures. It is suggested that if you have take a part in a very important role in a movie, you should include box office receipt in your package. The following point is a significant recognition for achievement, internationally or nationally recognized prize or award. If you have such prize or award certificate, I would definitely suggest that to put it into your application package. And also, I will include all the awards in your petition letter as well. For the last part is a high salary and the work plan. I would suggest that to reach out to agency or other cooperated company for that letter or any future plan. Okay, in this PPT, let's take a look at a required document for O1B visa under motion picture or television subcategory. The first is very similar with the previous. The first is leading or critical participate in protection or events that has a distinguished reputation, such as a critical reviews, advertisement, public release, and publications. The second is significant recognition for achievement, internationally or nationally recognized prize or awards. The following is major commercial or critically acclaimed success such as a box office received motion pictures. Those three required documents are very similar with the previous one, so I will not talk about that much. The following is a leading participator in organizations such as media report, journals, or testimonials. The following one is a significant recognition for achievement from organizations, critics, government agencies, or recognized expert in applicant industry, major media report or publications. The last part would be high salary and proposed work and agency contract. I would suggest all of my clients, if you have such document, please do not hesitate to include those in your application package because it's going to be a very strong evidence to your application. Like I said earlier, not everyone's background is the same. So if you are not qualified for a one visa, you may consider like NIW. NIW is a very different visa category. It's actually a self-petitioned application, which means that you don't need a sponsor or you don't need company to provide you a sponsorship for any visa. You can do it on your own. You can file the application on behalf of yourself. Let's take a look at the requirement. First requirement is that a person's proposed endeavors has both substantial merits and national importance. The second category is the person is well positioned to advance the proposed endeavor. And the last requirement is it would be beneficial to the United States to waive the job offer and thus the permanent labor certification requirement. Some of my clients always ask me about the timeline for O1 visa and NIW petition. So let's take a look at the O1 visa timeline first. The regular processing time could be vary because it's all up to USCIS processing center. Different processing center may be different. So those timeline is just a general it's just a general rule, but not everyone's application should follow the timeline. The first step is to submit application. And you have the option to do a premium processing, which can give you a feedback from USCIS within 2 weeks, as soon as 2 weeks. It's still possible for you to get an RFE, and then you should prepare and reply the RFE diligently. And the next step is approval, which means that you will get a USCIS formal notice. The last step is different. If you are in US, then you should apply for status adjustment within US. If you are out of the country, then you can go through consulate interview processing. Okay. Let's move forward with NIW self-petition. Some of you may be curious about the required document for NIW petition. Like we talked about earlier, it's a self-petition application, so you can do it on your own. But we would suggest that you provide us the following required document. First is a media report. The second is a membership in professional association. The third is articles or other publications. The fourth is a conference or panel participate. And the fifth is a being reviewer. And the last part is a future plan in US. Those documents are very strong evidence in your NIW self-petition. Okay, let's go over the NIW timeline. Again, the regular processing time could be varied because it's all up to USCIS processing centers processing time. Different USCIS processing center could have a different processing time. I think the only difference between O1 visa and NIW is just the optional premium processing process. In NIW petition, the option PP could be like 45 business days, which will get you a reply from USCIS within 1 or 2 months. The other part are all similar with O1 visa. But the big difference between NIW and O1 visa is that for O1 application, you can get a visa but not a green card. However, in NIW petition, if your application is approved by USCIS, you will eventually get a green card. That's a huge difference between O1 visa and NIW petition. Okay, let's take a look at the common RFE. Because today's lecture's time is limited, I cannot talk about all the RFE topic. I can only talk about like 3 very common RFE topic. The first is industry recognition. I would suggest that you will definitely want to update the membership in professional associations when you receive such RFE notice. You should update your membership list in your RFE reply. And you can definitely join in new association during the RFE reply time and updated those lists so that the evidence will be even stronger than the previous package. The second RFE topic would be your original contribution. I typically will narrow down the applicant's background and try to talk about a narrowed down industry. If your industry is too much broad, then it could be very difficult to prove that. The last part I want to talk about the RFE is the value, because under the last requirement of NIW, we must show that the application is matches with American value. We typically illustrate those value in the following aspect. The first is economic, which means that your contribution can make a lot of money. The second part is scientific value, which means that your original contribution or your original finding can level up the scientific industry. And the last part is social value, which means that you can improve or create a social value in US. Those three are very strong aspect or argument point in our applications. In the last part, I will go over the day one CPT's legal compliance. As you may know, if you do like a day one CPT, it's very important to comply with a legal requirement under American immigration law. So the first requirement is you probably adjust or extend your status in US. If you have the offer or admission letter, then it's very important to check with your school about your updated I-20. The second point is present in classes and finish homework promptly. Some school will have like a hybrid schedule for students. For some work days, they will require students to go to in-person class. And for the other days, the student can do like online class or Zoom meeting to earn those credit. I would suggest that all my clients try to read the all requirement carefully and keep those and keep the attendance report, official transcript, and academic record in your laptop. The third part is keep communication with the International Student Office. If you got RFE notice, don't be panic. You can always reach out to the International Student Office or your agency to get a support letter, to get your enrollment verification, and also the tuition record. The last part is a duly report. If the day one CPT is a higher and it is a STEM, then you will get a 3 years OPT after graduation. However, if you have a CPT for more than a year, if you have a full-time CPT for more than 1 year, then it will disqualify you for OPT after graduation. So we would suggest that you do a full-time CPT for 11 months and then switch it to the part-time. It's very important to know this rule. And thank you very much for everyone to listen to my lecture today. If you have any other question, please add me on WeChat.
Absolutely. Thanks, Alina. Thank you so much for your presentation. We learned a lot about O1 visa, NIW, green card, and also day one CPT. Well, should we pay special attention about? And for everybody watching, if you don't have a WeChat account, don't worry. You can scan our QR code so that we can connect you with the attorney through email or other forms. that might be preferable. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into today's Q&A session. I want to remind everybody, if you have a questions, send them into the Q&A session so everybody else could see once we answer them. If you wanted to type into the chat, that would be okay, but everybody else couldn't see that. All right, let's just move on to our first question of the day. So for a nonprofit organization, are they generally CAP exempt or special research organization? So I think this one would be more towards the H-1B CAP exempt field. I don't know if this is something we wanted to answer, but I do want to get your insight on this.
I would say yes, they are generally CAP exempt, but you have to do independent research on each nonprofit organizations.
Mhm. Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. And if you do want more legal, advice or consultations on specific, cap accept issues, you can scan the QR code. We can connect you with the attorney. All right, let's move on to the second question. So my wife is on F2 visa. Do I need to add her into my latest I-20 if I enroll into a school that offers day one CPT?
I would suggest that you should definitely contact your school's international student office, saying that my wife is under like F2 visa, and please get her updated on certain forms.
Absolutely. And to add a little bit, we do have plenty of students come to us with a spouse, whether it's a married couple or is children. We do recommend you, as attorney said, we do recommend you to contact the Day One CPT school directly and tell them about the situation, because chances are your spouse probably have an H-4 visa or a F-2 visa under a different school. These kind of situations, if you switch schools, that information needs to be updated as well. So unless or else they probably will have more complications. So I do recommend you to contact us or the university directly. So let's move on. Another question about Day One CPT. If I enroll for Day One CPT and get a company sponsor my H-1B, do I need to continue Day One CPT, or can I quit and use H-1B visa to continue working?
That situation could be a little bit complicated. If you get a company that sponsors your H-1B, um, I would suggest that you can consider which is more important for your future plan. If you want to um, work for that company for a long time, then you can do like H-1B. If the work is not stable, you can still use your day one CPT. Because under day one CPT category, you don't need to do like H-1B transfer if you change your company.
Mhm. Yeah, in this case, if you do get selected by H-1B, another option for you, I think there's three options possible. So you can either withdraw from the program and continue with with H-1B, or you can use H-1B and continue schools. So there's no limitation in terms of whether or not a H-1B holder can do education. But again, this session is mainly for education purposes. So if you have a specific situation or case you want to discuss about, we're happy to consult, to connect you with an immigration attorney. Let's just move on to the next question. So how to define the range of high salary of an O1A visa?
Oh, this is a very good question, but it is also complicated to answer because I cannot give you a brief answer in one sentence. Generally, I would say that it depends on um, where is your location, what's your employment, or what is your title in your industry. And sometimes I would suggest that my client should provide such as like analysis under your industry to prove that. For example, one of my clients got a newspaper from China saying that the average salary of the doctors in Sichuan province is a certain amount, and she is definitely way higher than that. And we used that article, and her NIW petition was approved. I think that is good evidence. If you can receive such material, I would definitely suggest that you should include those. But this can be like um, very different for everyone.
Absolutely. Moving on, the next question we have already overlapped with Q3. So this person also wanted to ask about, day one CPT and also transition to H-1B. So we actually work with plenty of students who go for H-1B visa every year and then also get selected. So if you want to scan the QR code to talk to our consultants for free, they can share some insights in terms of, the transition steps from day one CPT to H-1B if you're worried about that transition. So we will go to the next one. Are there any bad effect on day one CPT when I apply for H-1B visa or green card?
I would say, generally speaking, there is no negative effects of the day one CPT as long as you comply with requirement that I have mentioned, such as you should keep all the academic record, the transcript, and also the tuition payment receipt. And you should consider get the verification letter from ISO, and you should also like come to school on time. You can't be like very late or skip classes for that. Generally speaking, there is no negative effects of day one CPT.
Absolutely. Let's move on. So next one will be about NIW. So I have an approved NIW and I'm currently on F1. Can I get an EAD with my approved I-140? If yes, what type of EAD?
No, you cannot get an EAD with your approved I-140.
Alina, could you brief us? Was this, I think a lot of us might not be familiar with this process. So if somebody got an approved NIW application, what stage could they actually start working?
Unfortunately, for example, for China mainland born applicants, there will be a waiting period.
Mm.
So we cannot get an EAD card with that approval because that approval um will lead to a green card, but not the EAD at that time.
Mm.
So it's gonna be like a waiting period for that.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. Moving on. So this will be a longer specific questions. So how many items from the list which you presented in the presentation make a strong applications? Are hackathons valid as one of the qualification? I think hackathon is an event that lots of people need to engage in terms of computer programming. I don't know if you're familiar with this kind of event. I think this person is talking about O1 visa. I'm not sure, but maybe we can talk both from the O1 perspective and also the NIW.
How many items from the list make a strong application? I would say that include as many as you have. It's always good to include a very strong argument from your experience, from your background, from your academic record, and also professional experience. As for the events, it's very important to include media report or any newspaper that report that event, saying that events is very important in your industry and plays a very important role in your industry. You may also want to include a story saying that you present a very good like a leadership or you make very strong contribution in that events. I think that would make your application even stronger.
I have a quick question in terms of the report of that event. So, for example, if somebody attended that event that have been reported on the newspaper or other outlets, does the person's name needs to be on the report or it is not necessary?
It's always good to include your name on that report. If if you cannot find such report, you can include a report that mentioning your school or your associations.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the other half of the question I think is also pretty important. So does an O1 denial affects other visa, for example, H-1B or other applications?
Well, in certain visa categories, it may negatively affected by the denial because in the application forms, there are always a question asked that have you ever applied for blah 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 category previously? So it could be like it could be infected negatively, but that much because as long as you meet the requirement, then your other visa application can still be approved by USCIS. So don't worry that much. Don't be panicked if you get a denial or RFE notice. You can always talk to us if you receive that such notice.
Sure. All right. Let's move on to the next one. So this is also a specific case. As a registered nurse, I'm currently on an F1 visa. How can I, you know, update my status and then go for a permanent residence? If not the EB3, because this person thinks EB3 might take too long. Is there any alternative route, especially for a nurse?
Um, I think there is one category under like a EB2 or EB3 program for nurse, but if you want to talk about that, please contact me or us directly for that because we're gonna need more detailed information.
All right. Thank you so much for that. We do recommend you to consult with an immigration attorney on this specific situation because you are in a particular industry. All right, move on. So with the NIW, do you also need to wait for priority dates like in EB3?
Yes, for NIW is EB2 category, so it's gonna give you a waiting time. But you can always check I think it's called a Visa Bulletin website for the waiting time.
Sure. All right, let's move on. So which visa suits better for a co-founder of a AI startup? Is it O1A or NIW or something else? Consider the fact that the applicant's family also wanted to immigrate.
I would prefer and suggest an NIW under this question because as I talked earlier, the biggest difference between O1 visa and NIW is that O1 visa is just a kind of a visa. It cannot bring you a green card. But for NIW self-petition application, it will lead to a green card for you and your family members. So under those question, I would strongly recommend that you should consider like NIW.
Sounds good. Thank you for your answer. Let's move on. So this person wanted to know a little bit about RFEs after day one CPT. Can you explain what an RFE is?
Which means that if you use a day one CPT at first and then you want to transfer to another status, you may get an RFE notice. So it is very important to maintain all the academic report, transcript, um, tuition verification, and the other support letter from the university.
Yeah. Is a job required to apply for O1 or NIW? Meaning that do I have to have a job to apply for O1 and then also NIW? And then can we apply to these visa categories while I'm in school pursuing a PhD?
Basically speaking, you don't need a job to apply for O1 visa and the NIW petition. You can definitely apply for those visa or petition while you are studying in PhD program.
Sure. And then I also have a little bit to add on to ask. Does the person have to have a sponsor when it comes to O1 and also NIW?
For NIW, the answer is no, because NIW is a self-petition application, so you don't need to find a company or sponsor. However, under some category of O1 visa, you should find an agency or sponsor.
Sure. Thank you for your clarification. Let's move on. It seems like we have our one last question. So if you do have more questions, please send them into the Q&A so we can resume with this one for now. So this person is also coming from a specific job background. So as a optometrist who is responsible for revenue of the practice as well, can I do an EMB? I don't know if EMB is related to today's session. So, Attorney Sun, do you wanted to also speak on this?
So, I don't know the meaning of EMB, but if you have any like a detailed explanation of your question, please
Oh,
leave
EMBA.
that.
All right. I think I can speak a little bit on this questions. So, EMBA, executive MBA, maybe this person is talking about day one CPT. So, typically, yes, but also we wanted to understand more about your job descriptions and also your career role to determine. But EMBA in healthcare management, they do offer classes. I don't know which school are you referring to, but in general, they do offer classes in the healthcare industries and also might be related to your job. But please scan the QR code, talk to our consultants. We can send you a copy of the syllabus and also classes so you can kind of compare if this is relevant to your job. All right, I think in the Q&A session, we have one more questions coming. What's the main differences between a one and then an NIW, and how should I pick? I mean, how should you pick will definitely be depending on your personal situations. But Attorney Sun, do you wanted to brief us a little bit about the main differences between a one and an NIW?
Yes, one biggest difference between O1 and NIW is that O1 is just a visa. It allows you to stay in US, but you won't get a permanent resident card from that visa. However, if you file an NIW petition, once it's approved, after waiting time, you can get a green card. That is the one of the biggest difference. Um,
And
it's
then,
also
yeah, please continue.
um, how to pick from them. It depends on your future plan and your purpose of staying in US. If you want to get a green card, I would suggest that go for an IW for sure. But if you just want to like stay in US just temporarily, and I think you can consider like O1 visa because that visa can allows you to work and stay in US.
For sure. And then I don't want it to, put things too general, but is there like a difficulty level also when it comes to applying for O1 and then also NIW? Is NIW more difficult in general speaking?
This may be difficult, but it's but it also depends on applicant's background and professional experience. I cannot say like 100% NIW is more difficult on O1 visa, but it's more like a highly selective standards.
For sure. Thank you so much. All right, we have one more questions coming in. So which category fits for a co-founder of a startup in NIW? And also, is there a EB1 category as well? Um, and then the final question is there a waiting period for NIW? I think we answered this one already. Yes, there is a waiting period for NIW if you are coming from a specific country or background. But Attorney Sun, do you wanted to answer the previous part of the question?
Yes, for a co-founder of a startup, I would suggest that you should consider like EB1A or NIW. Generally speaking, EB1A has a higher standard than NIW, but I think you can consider NIW or EB1A. NIW is under EB2 category, so it has a longer like waiting. I think it has like a longer waiting time than EB1A.
For sure. All right, let's move on to the next one. Is there a minimum number of publications required to apply for either of these O1 or NIW? Can a student from India apply for NIW? This person probably mean that if the person is currently located in another country, can he or she still apply for NIW?
Yes, if you are in overseas country, you can definitely apply for an NIW. As long as you meet the requirement, you can get approval. And there is no certain minimum number of a publication required to apply for O1 or NIW.
For sure. I think we have one more. Once approved for O1A visa, does that increase the approval chance for EB1A?
I would say it's not, those categories are not related. Somehow you can update your application material to meet the requirements of EB1A because EB1A will have like a higher standard than O1A visa.
Absolutely. I think this is everything we have in terms of the questions. Um, yeah, I want to thanks everybody, and especially I want to thank Attorney Sun for coming in for today's webinar session to give us this presentation as well as answering so much questions for us. If you haven't got to your questions yet, you can feel free to scan the QR code. The left is for a WhatsApp consultation and the right is for WeChat. If you wanted to further connect with the attorney or you need more assistance on O1 as well as NIW, we can connect you with the agencies or so with the lawyer as well. So you can also feel free to scan an email to info@topvisaus.com if you need assistance in terms of O1 and also NIW applications. Thank you so much, Attorney Sun, for today's sessions. And I want to thank everybody for coming in as well. And hopefully I'll see everybody very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Goodbye, everyone. Have a great night. Thank you. Bye-bye. We will share the recordings of today through emails. So if you come in late, don't worry about that. We will still share that with you. All right.